Thank you for tuning in to Jam 316 Motivation Monday today. And man, question is, what is the hardest thing you've ever had to overcome? Now, as we talk about being overcomer, you can't be called an overcomer if you haven't overcome anything. So when you think back in your life, what's one of the hardest things you've ever had to overcome? I've got an amazing guest. I will be introducing her to us in the next short while. She has overcome quite a number of things, some things that a lot of people are not able to overcome, but she has overcome them and she's doing some great work. I will be introducing her to you shortly. But before we get to her, let's take a look at the local dailies today, find out what are some of the key stories that are making headlines in the local dailies today. Big story in the Daily Nation newspaper inside the 15-point case to salvage BBI. It says the stage is set for a legal battle in the Court of Appeal, with at least 3 cases set to be filed this week. Lawyers are in a race against time as the Constitution provides that a referendum cannot be held less than a year before the general election. This means the cases must be heard and determined by August. The clock is ticking, my friend. That's the big story right here. Also, new dawn as 310 billion Lamu Port rose to life. Those are the key stories on the front page of the Daily Nation newspaper. Tukiangalia ukundani, the Kitengela Quartet, as they are known, it says Anyango's mother's wife fighting for their lives in Anyango's mother and wife are fighting for their lives in hospital. Anyango, 37, was among the 4 men who were kidnapped after lunch at a club in Kitengela. You can read this story in the local dailies this morning. Other stories you will find, there's quite a bit on politics, especially matters BBI. Analysts are saying why BBI ruling is not DP Ruto's last laugh. You can take a look at that story. The DP would have reaped a lot more had he led an outright no campaign. That is what this article is saying. Okay, there's something about public participation and the BBI. You can update yourself on that as well. And then health experts poke holes in Kenya's COVID-19 strategy. Health Ministry's efforts are random, haphazard, and reactionary without accurate data and planning. That is what this article is saying. You can reach out and find out more about why they're saying that. Looking towards the center pages, there's quite a bit from the editorials. You can update yourself on that as well. In Matters County, Jubilee UDA comes face off ahead of Ruri by-election. Hii ni mambo ya wapi, hii ni mambo ya Nyandarua. You can take a look at that as well. The pull-out today is higher education. Here is what to consider when choosing a university. The institution you go to will affect your personal and professional life long after you have graduated. And so some interesting information here. Kama ulikuwa na mtoto alifanya Form 4 candidate, yeah, they need to read that article. It will help them. You also have junior sport, our second pull-out, acrobats in the making. Gymnastics keep us busy and has taught us teamwork. That is what these children are saying. And then jumping all the way to the back pages of the Daily Nation newspaper today, the back page says delayed Form 1 selection creates room for canvassing. The anxiety has increased following the release of Form 4 exam results last week. Parents eager to secure places in schools that performed well. Matters Sports, US-based Mpoke nails 400-meter hurdles time for Olympics. And then FKF Premier League, Gore bring down City Stars to go 6th. And then Sofapaka are celebrating a win right there. My friend, those are some key stories you will find in the local dailies today. Grab yourself a copy, keep yourself informed on what's happening both locally and also internationally. As I said earlier, I've got an amazing, interesting, encouraging testimonial of an overcomer. I will be introducing you to this lady shortly, but I'm asking you, what's one of the hardest things you've had to overcome in your life? Text me on 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316, and tell me all about it. This morning on Motivation Monday, we are so glad to be joined by Pauline Juma. Pauline, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Karibu sana. Thank you for finding the time to talk to us today. We're excited to have you on board.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Asante sana. Now, Pauline, your story is a very amazing story. You've had to overcome quite a number of issues in your life. So where do you want to begin us off in your story? Where do we begin?
Where do I begin?
Yes, the beginning is usually a good place.
Basically, I'll begin by just telling everyone who's listening that our life is a testimony. Any day we wake up,
Yeah.
it's a testimony. If there's nothing you can be grateful for, just be grateful for breathing. And also, we need to practice breathing intentionally. Every moment you breathe, that is a testimony.
Wow.
And just like you said, my name is Pauline Juma. I am 26. I love stating my age because I'm so proud of it.
Nice, that's
And,
nice.
I was born and raised in Kibera slums, Nairobi. And I was raised with my two parents. That is my dad and my mom. And they were so amazing. My mom is one of the most resilient women I've ever met in this world.
Okay.
A woman who would never give up at anything. Nothing at all. She would never give up. And our upbringing was, let me say, normal. A lot of people don't like it when I say normal because it is not normal to lack food. It is not normal to struggle to go to school. It is not normal to always be in a cycle of poverty in your family, and you see your parents struggling, you see your mother so resilient, and it was just. It was a humble upbringing, let me say it so.
Yeah.
But it was not normal for everyone. But for us, we learned how to stay as a family. I am the firstborn in a family of 4.
Okay.
I'm the first girl. We have 2 more girls and 1 boy. And life for us in Kibera, let me say Kibera was not one of the easiest life I would ever want to live if I'll ever come back to this life again.
Okay, so
Because,
let me take you back. Those things you've mentioned, not having enough to eat and all those things. Is that how your childhood was? Is that how you grew up?
Yes, that is how I grew up. From the time I knew myself.
Yes.
My mom told me I knew myself from the time I was 3. I was already out by the time I was 3. I was always in the neighborhood, and the neighbors were like, this child is going to be a rebel, because, at the age of 3, I knew this is the kind of hairstyle I want. I want to shape my hair. Mom, I don't want this. So my neighbors were like, this child is going to be a rebel. But by the time I am 3, everything was just, went just from being good to bad to worse every single day. And us lacking food was not one of the big deal when I was growing up.
Okay.
Because, I just remember very well, there was a time my mom boiled water. Just boiled the water from 7 p.m. to around 10 p.m. so as to make my sisters sleep. Because
wakidhani chakula inaiva. Oh my goodness.
That is the only thing she could do, just boil water to tell her children, you know what, tomorrow is another day.
Yeah.
Just go and sleep. Yeah.
Okay. How was school life for you when you were growing up? Because I'm thinking by the time you go to school, you're meeting all sorts of children coming from different backgrounds. How was that experience for you?
I would say we were lucky as a family because all of us went to school through scholarship.
Oh, that's good.
That is one of the greatest blessings I ever found in my life. Because in primary school, I went to one of the the wealthiest school in Nairobi, and it was one of the best schools in Nairobi in my primary. Because in primary, I had to go to 5 schools because you're being chased from this school to the other. But my finishing primary was so good because I got a scholarship, and it was not easy going, meeting people from different backgrounds. I remember by the time I was in class 7, one dream in my life was to live in a room that had a toilet inside the house.
Yeah.
Because, we were living in a self-confused room where everything is in one room.
Self-confused.
The kitchen, the bedroom, the sitting room, you're all in one room, and everything is confused inside that room. So when I went to visit my friends for a birthday party one Saturday, I was so shocked. I was like, how do you have such a big house? And it was a 3-bedroom house. How do you have such a big house? And does this house even rain whenever it's raining? Do you even feel the rain? Because for us, whenever it was raining, it was like we were outside.
Wow.
The sewage, the rain itself, inside the house.
Okay.
But for me, that pushed me. In my primary life was okay. I was so lucky I went to high school again through scholarship. And for me, life was okay.
Okay.
You know, I went in a school just after general election, and I was the only Luo girl in a school in Muranga. But the first year I faced a lot of challenges. But by the time it's in the second year, I took it as normal. It's okay. It's normal.
Yeah.
So we are different, because when you're in Kibera, maybe you are introduced to your people only, but you're going to high school and you have to meet different people. And for me, it was a nice journey in high school, Form 1, Form 2. But now when I went to Form 3, third term, everything changed for me.
Okay, let's go to that. Let's go to that Form 3 third term. What happened? What happened?
When I was 9, my mom called me a candle, because when I was 9, I told my mom, when I grow up, I'll open a children's home.
Okay.
By that time, we had not taken breakfast and lunch, so it was supper. And here I am, a hungry child, wanting to open a children's home, because I was like, no one deserves what we are going through. So my mom told me, you are a candle and you're going to light this world. So when I was in Form 3, I had a very good friend of mine. She was such an amazing girl, and she got pregnant. Her mother chased her away, and I was taking care of her for 1 year. You know, I was through scholarship, so everything in school they provided for me. Even shopping, they used to do a very good shopping for me.
Okay.
So I used to find myself with very excess things, and whenever I was going to school, I had to give my friend half of it.
Okay.
So that when I go to school, her child and her wouldn't have to suffer.
Wow.
And I did that for a whole year, innocently. Let me say innocently, because when I have a friend, I always want to love them like a sister, or a brother, because sometimes I feel how lonely it is. I don't know, but being a firstborn, sometimes I felt alone.
Okay.
As much as I have siblings.
Yeah.
But you know, I did this for 1 year, innocently, lovingly. I'm like, I have to take care of her. And I used to tell her, once your child is 1 year, please go to school. Because I want you to go to school. But after 1 year, my friend rewarded me by setting me up to her brother, to the brother and some 3 men I've never met in my life, and they defiled me.
What do you mean? This girl you are helping for a year?
Yes.
So what exactly how exactly did she set you up?
You know, we were very close friends. We were like sisters, and everything we would do together. The brother was like a family friend to us. My father knew them. My father knew him. Everything was okay. And you know, whenever it was during the holiday, we would go help the brother wash clothes, because for us it was normal.
Yeah.
We are a family. We'll help each other. And this day, my friend told me, please help me to. It was around 7:30. She told me, let's go to my brother so that you can wash clothes for 1 hour, and then at 12, I'll take you to your stage so that you can go to school. I was like, we've done this before, it's okay, let's go. I'll go help you so that you can take me to school, so that you can see me off when I go to school. But when I come back, we'll have to talk about you going to school in January.
Okay.
And everything was okay. It was Kibera has almost 13 villages. So it was from Mashimoni, that is where we used to live. And we went to the brother used to live in Langata before there was a road. And there was a bush, and his house was just in the middle of the bush. It was a sugarcane bush. So that is where the brother used to live. He had a house there. And you know, when we were walking, I didn't notice anything. This is my friend. We are talking, we're okay. And when I went to that house, by the time I was reaching the door, I was pushed. And when I was pushed inside the house, I was welcomed with a very good slap, a very good one.
Who pushed you?
The girl, my friend.
Oh.
My friend pushed pushed me, and from that time I didn't see her. I was still innocent. I'm crying, I'm calling her.
Yeah.
Please come and help me. Come and help me. And then the brother is the one who slapped me, and the words he told me broke me almost for a year, because the brother told me that I'll just put it in Kiswahili, wewe ndio unajifanya unasoma, wacha tukufanye ukae kama sister yetu.
Oh my goodness.
So for me, this was a revenge. I was to get pregnant and stay home like the sister.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what happened after that?
After the brother and the other gunmen defiled me, they had to let me say they had to make sure by the time I'm getting out of that house, there was no evidence. Because they told me if I tried to tell anyone, this was the exact word, if you dare speak, we will kill your mother.
Oh my goodness.
So
how old were you by then?
I am cleaned up. I got out of that house with a lot of pain, but I couldn't show anyone. I couldn't just show anyone on the way what was happening to me. I couldn't.
How old were you? How old were you? How old were you?
Yes?
I'm asking, how old were you then?
16.
16. Wow.
Not that I love being 16 sometimes. I was just 16.
So when you left that place, where did you go? Did you go back home or did you go to school?
When we were growing up, there was a lot of campaigns about rape and defilement. So the moment I got out of the hospital, I was so afraid of a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I just never wanted to report. But I went to the hospital. There was a hospital called Wanga by that time.
Yeah.
I just went and told the doctor what happened, and told the doctor, please give me the medication that I need. And I filled the form. I just came to realize last year it was called a PRC form. I filled the form and I told the doctors, just give me everything. And I went to school.
What?
I was supposed to go to school, remember?
Oh my goodness. I'm just trying to imagine the kind of emotional state you are in. I mean, going to school. How do you stay sane after such an experience and you're not supposed to talk to anybody?
Just like when I started saying, I grew up with a very resilient mother. So I knew I was a very resilient girl. And then until today, I'm a very resilient person.
Yeah.
And, when I came back home, I was like, I can't stay at home. When I stay at home and mom comes here, mom left everything when she was going to work. So if mom finds me at home and starts questioning me and I have to say the truth and I lose my mother, I'll never forgive myself for that.
Yeah.
And these are 4 men after my life. I don't even know what they can do. If they dare harm me this way, they're going to do more. So I had to carry myself with my pain. Sometimes when I'm writing, I try to imagine the kind of pain I was feeling that day.
Yeah.
And to be honest, maybe one day if I get the strength, I'll do a film about it, because it's a pain I've never felt in my life again. I've never. In the matatu, I was trying not to cry, but deep inside me, everything in me died. Everything in me died on that day. I was no longer the journalist I wanted to be. I was no longer the girl that I wanted to make my mother proud. I was like, I'm going to this school just to hide whatever I'm feeling, and I don't want mom to know.
Okay.
And when I arrived to school that night, I think I had the worst nightmares in my life, because constantly I felt like someone is following me. Constantly, I felt like it's like I have a chip inside me that if I even talk to my friends, someone will notice and my mom will go. That was the kind of fear I lived with. For the whole time I was in school, and I was always trying to commit suicide, because for me I felt like I'm nobody. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about how this experience affected your school life, because just listening to what you're saying, I'm sure it affected you when you went back to school. How did you manage to cope with classwork? Did you ever get to a place where you had the confidence to open up to somebody? We'll talk about that shortly. It's 7:30. We're hanging out with Pauline Juma. She's narrating her experience to us, but I'm glad that in all this, she's an overcomer. Even just the courage to come on camera and share her story with us today is quite something. If you have something you need to say to her, or maybe a question you want to ask, feel free to do so. SMS lines are open, 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786316316. We're hanging out with Pauline Juma, and she's an overcomer. She's sharing her story with us, and it's one of those stories. I was telling my producer, you know, when you organize this kind of interviews for me, make sure I have some serviettes or some tissue or some handkerchief somewhere, because sometimes it's hard to contain yourself. Joseph from Egerton, you see, her story is very touching. I agree with you. This is one of those stories. Wow. So Pauline, back to you. How did this affect you in school? Because you've gone back to school. There's this pain. There's this weight. You know, you said you thought of suicide. How did you handle all these emotions?
You know, to be honest, I don't really have a procedure how I handle it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in school, in my school, within 1 month, I tried to commit 3 suicides.
Oh my goodness.
And all this time, I had 2 friends, 2 specific friends.
Yes.
Who always saved me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first time they come and saved me, and I asked them, why are you doing this? Do you even know what I'm going through? And they were like, you know, we realized from the time you came back home, you're not yourself. What is wrong? What is happening?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell anyone what I'm going through.
Yeah.
By the time I was going back to school, I went back into writing.
Mm-hmm.
Anything I used to feel, I used to put it in a book. You know, sometimes a teacher would come to class and I'm looking at this teacher and I'm like, you know, you're not even helping me.
Wow.
You're not helping me at all.
Yeah.
I don't even want to listen to what you're saying. I all of a sudden I never wanted to see a male teacher in class. I'm like, what is this? You know, at some point I used to ask myself, what is this man telling me? What is he even talking about in class?
Yeah.
So my grades went down.
Mm-hmm.
My own life went down. By the time I was transferring from that school, and I had to tell my dad that I'm suffering from ulcers and I can't stay in that school anymore.
Oh my goodness.
I just have to go. And by the time I was being released in school, I remember that the deputy principal in that school told me, I hope one day you find the strength to say the truth. Because, you know, I went through counseling, but, you know, there is a way I blocked my mind. I was like, I'm not telling you what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I'm stressed. It's at home. You need to understand I come from Kibera. There are a lot of things happening in my home. I don't have anything bad happening to me. And my dad came for me, and by then my director, who used to pay my school fees. And on my way home, my dad told me, I've never known you to be this weak.
Whoa.
Dad, I'm okay, but I'm just going through so much, and you know, you're my dad. I was a daddy's girl when I was little. I was a daddy's girl. Me and my dad we were best friends.
Okay.
And by the time, I think we were almost to Nairobi. We were almost to Nairobi, and I removed all the papers I had and I gave my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my dad loves telling us that kwenda shule, hajui English. So he was like, explain to me what this is. And I'm like, you just read it, kitu utaelewa ni sawa. Me, don't ask me to narrate anything, because right now I would cry to death. And my dad read, the director read, and you know, they looked at me and told me, what do you want to do? And I made my father swear. I was like, Dad, if you ever tell anyone this, forget about me being your daughter. Wow. And I will surely make sure I'm killing myself. I will kill myself and disappear from your life. Don't even try to tell anyone. And sometimes I sit down and I imagine for almost 7 years the kind of life I had to put my dad go through by just being silent and For a moment I saw my dad very helpless.
He didn't even tell your mom?
Anything.
He didn't even tell your mom?
No. I told my mom 7 years later.
7 years later?
The first time I spoke out, that is when I told my mom.
Oh, how did she take it? What was her reaction?
My mom just looked at me and told me, I realized when you were a teenager you had a problem, but I knew it was boyfriend issues. That is what my mom told me.
Wow.
I knew you were going through something, but I just couldn't figure out what you were going through. But being a mother, my mom was always there.
Okay.
I had to go to another school in high school, and for me it was like a break. Because it's a new environment for me. It was a mixed school.
Yes.
And this is something I tell a lot of people that I've come to realize that we all have our own ways of healing. And for me, healing for me took me closer to boys. Let me call them boys by that time because we were students.
Yeah.
Because for me, and specifically not just good people, I wanted to be around bad people because bad people for me, especially bad boys or men, would protect me from my perpetrators. So when I went to Form 3 and Form 4, I was very bright. I used to do my schoolwork very okay. But whenever I'm outside school, I was very vengeful. For a very long time, I was very vengeful. And honestly, from the time I was 16 to the time I was 18, I was like, no, I don't have a life. So I would allow myself to do anything because for me, I don't have a life.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I finished my Form 4 very well. And that period when you've just finished your exam and you're like, now what do I do with my life? And this little girl here decided she's going to get married.
Oh. Get married to who?
18, I was like, I'm going to get married. Because for me, by that time, I felt like maybe this man destroyed me. Maybe something happened to me. And I went ahead and got married, and fortunately I got pregnant. And this man, we were just okay. We loved each other. But after some time, I became like, his drug. He would beat me every single day. And
oh my goodness.
He would, by the time I was 6 months pregnant, one day he squeezed my stomach to a point where it started bleeding, and he was like, I want to kill this child who's disturbing you. And I endured that for 1 year.
Did your parents know you were going through all that?
My mother knew.
What would she say?
My mother knew, but I was always proving everything is okay to her. There was a day I went back to my mom with blood in my clothes, and when my mom asked me, I told my mom, nimeanguka kwa stairs. And my mom looked at me and told me, ile siku utachoka kuanguka kwa stairs, come back home. I am your mother. And you don't have to go through all this because at that moment I was proving to my society. My society knew I was a rebel. By the time I was 16, I became so bad. I was like, no one would tell me anything. And my society already labeled me a rebel. Hakuna mali utaenda, after Form 4, there is no way you go. It was normal for anyone to get married. So I was following that path.
Okay.
Getting married. And I had to prove to my community and my parents that I can keep a home. And that is what I did for 1 year. And then after 1 year, I was like, no. Yes,
you walked away after a year.
I was born poor, but this is not my life. No. I can't go through this.
So one day, after 1 year, one day you wake up and you decide, I'm done, and you walk away.
And to be honest, I don't know what is happening with my October, because I left in that marriage in October. I was like, no, this is not the kind of life I deserve. I can't be beaten every single day. I'm here. I'm okay. My baby was born. My baby has to endure. I think it is the child for me that gave me strength. Because one day he came back home and it was around 1 a.m. and he's trying to beat me up. And that day I was so angry. Because for me, I was just counting people I have to revenge to.
Yeah.
And he was almost coming to my list of people I had to revenge. And that day I was so angry when he slapped me. The first thing I saw was a knife, and I took the knife. By the time I want to stab him, my child cried. And for a moment I lost myself, and I took my baby and I called my baby and I told my baby, this is the last time you'll ever see your mother going through this. And
Wow.
you know, in October, by that time it was drizzling, it is 1 a.m., we've been chased out with my child, and my brother came for me at 1 a.m. because we were not staying far away from my parents. My
Okay.
brother came for me.
And you went back
my
home.
brother helped me carry everything and took me home. And my
Wow.
mother welcomed me back home.
Okay, we'll talk about how did your life then move on from there. Now you've gone through this again. This is another form of abuse. You've gone back home. What next for you? What next for your child? We'll talk about that shortly. SMSs are coming in. Liz Wamboy is saying, I hope she's now doing well, because I can imagine after such a time, remembering all that happened. Well, we'll get to find out as we keep listening. 20316 SMS, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. I'm hanging out with Pauline Juma. SMS is coming in. This one says, listening to Pauline's story, I know that God is confirming what we must do. I was in Kibra in 2006, working against defilement, and this face was uttered. I can't understand that. I was told this means they take you to their small rooms and gang rape you, yet I had never heard it from an actual victim. They must be helped. Liz, you're saying I'm trying to put my life into her shoe. I'm just feeling the pain of what she has gone through. Thank you. Keep the SMSs coming through. 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. So Pauline, back to you. So you go back home, then what?
I went back home. I am 20 with a child.
Yes.
And just to maybe go past it, you know, I was so bitter. I was 20, very bitter.
Yeah.
I was going through a lot of things that sometimes I can't even put them down. And you know, my mom has always been teaching me one value: forgiveness. I don't know. My mom would speak to me about forgiveness every time.
Wow.
And my mom told me one thing when I was 20: forgiveness is not for anyone. It is for you, Pauline. You're going through so much, you need to heal. You know, and one thing one day my mom was so sad, and I had her pray, and she was asking God, why is it that our generation will have to go through this? Why do I have to go through pain, and my child is going through pain, my other children are going through pain? And you know, that is when for a moment I picked myself.
Okay.
And I started working out on myself. Although I was so bitter, and in that bitterness I made a lot of mistakes. But by the time I was 22, I started a foundation for children, for girls in Kibera. I was teaching modeling, catwalking.
Yes.
And for me, whenever I would teach a girl how to model, I was healing. By that time, I had not told anyone what I was going through.
Yeah.
I was just teaching them how to catwalk. And in that process, I wrote a poem. I wrote a 3-sentence poem. And I remember very well, I wrote that poem at 1 a.m. because I was just ending it all that night. I was like, no, I can't wake up tomorrow and face tomorrow because I used to tell God, right now, you're not even here with me. I'm going through this all alone. I don't even want to hear anything you want to say.
Yeah.
Because no one is with me right now to talk to me. No one is understanding me. And I wrote a 3-sentence poem. I am beautiful. I am amazing. I am confident. I can do all things as long as I set my mind to do it.
Yes.
And that poem changed my life.
Wow.
From that day, it changed my life because it was never the same. Until this day, until this morning, I wake up sometimes and read that poem so that I can just face the world.
Okay.
You know, after starting the foundation, training children, modeling, and one day my mentor challenged me and told me, Pauline, you have a story that you need to tell the world.
Yeah.
you are a story of your own. Just tell the world your story and let this pain out of your heart. And my first time I told my story, I cried for 6 hours. I was like, no, it didn't happen. I don't even want to think about anything. It was like I went insane within one day.
Who was the first person you shared your story with?
Pardon?
Who was the first person you shared your story with?
Media.
Oh, you went into the media.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that was a bold step. How did that go?
It was crazy.
Wow.
I was like, and by the time the story is airing, I'm like, no, please, no. But that story gave me strength because out of that,
Yeah.
it is when I started this journey called Rebirth of a Queen.
Rebirth of a Queen. Tell us more
Rebirth
about
of a Queen.
what is that about?
Because, pardon?
What is Rebirth of a Queen all about?
Rebirth of a Queen, at this moment in 2021, it's an initiative that supports teenagers who are survivors of gender-based violence.
Okay.
And right now we have a safe house that houses, at the moment, we house 18 people. And
Wow.
I have 7 beautiful girls who have 7 amazing children. And for me, Rebirth of a Queen started with me reclaiming back my power. And that verse in the Bible that tells us that you're wonderfully,
beautifully and wonderfully made.
And wonderfully created in the image of God.
Yes.
I took that verse closer to me and told God, if you created me in your own image, I can achieve dreams that are in my heart.
Yeah.
And this is what I tell my girls every single day. They call me mom. I am a grandma at the age of 26, by the way.
So let me ask you, so how do you get support for all this that you're doing?
Let me not say I've gotten all the support that I've wanted in this world, but I have few people who can actually die for my dream.
Wow,
and
that's nice.
one of them is my mentors and my parents.
Okay.
Because as I'm here right now, my mother sacrificed her life to make sure my shelter runs.
Wow.
She will go to her savings to make sure that shelter runs.
Yeah.
I have friends who will come for me when I call them, and they will make sure this shelter runs.
I love that.
And in March this year, when we had the 3rd wave and I lost a job I was doing, and I was like, God, this time you hit me so hard. This time, God, pia now when he hit so hard. And I was, how am I going to pay for the shelter? I'm going to close this shelter down. And to be honest, at this moment, when I started, I said my life is a testimony.
Yeah.
I think one day I'll just write a book of my life and tell people how God has taken me through, even for the shelter.
You need to.
Having to meet girls who have gone through what you've gone through, and it's like you're going back to your trauma. It's like, it's repeating itself, and you're asking God, why do these things have to happen to other people? I thought I should be the last one. Why do we have to have a 6-year-old girl who we have to rescue because of defilement? This is too much.
Okay.
It's too much. But in that process, I have learned that everything, it's one of the worst things I say, that everything happens for a reason, because I don't believe anyone has to go through pain because there is a reason behind that pain.
Yes.
But if there's one thing I believe, is that there's God above who will always
Very
give
true.
us the strength and the grace to do things.
Okay.
And that is the God who has even woken me up today. You're like, what am I going to do today? But at the end of the day, I know I have a purpose to live. I know I have girls at the shelter that I'll have to go. And when they just see my smile, they're like, the world is a better place because we have mom.
That is lovely. 2 things before we wrap up, because our time is up. Earlier on, you said that the constant message your mom used to tell you is forgiveness. So did you ever get to that place where you were able to forgive?
At this moment, to be honest, I forgive. Not for anyone, but for me. Because I need to heal. I need to break a lot of generational curses in my family, in my community. I had to.
Okay.
I forgive.
Wow.
I forgive, but to be honest, I don't want to meet any of my perpetrators.
Okay.
But I forgive them.
In fact, that was the other question I was going to ask you. Your friend who set you up, have you ever met her since then?
I met her once, and it was so bad. And then after I forgave her, one day I just went into her Facebook inbox, and I wrote her a long message that I've forgiven you, but I don't want anything to do with you. I've forgiven you, but I don't even want to see your face. I don't want to see anything about you.
Yes.
But I've forgiven you. But for a moment, just let me heal. And the only way I heal sometimes is by not seeing you. Yeah.
Wow. Great. Pauline, so what future do you see for this organization you've set up? Where would you want to see it?
You've just made me smile, because sometimes when I think about the future, God, let me start in the next 5 years, Rebirth of a Queen Shelter will have 5 more shelters in this country, in the major cities in the country, and a school, for vulnerable teenagers in Kenya. And I think someone told me this is the craziest dream I've ever had, but 20 years from now, I envision Rebirth of a Queen having an emergency chopper to rescue anyone from anywhere.
Yes.
And each and every day I live, I tell God I want to raise an authentic generation. So I can't wait 5 years from now, 3 years from now, when I take my girls for graduation, when I just sit down and one of my girls is giving a speech at Harvard University, and I'm like, you know what, God, we've done it.
Very true.
You know what, God, if this is not you, then it's not anyone else in this world. And those girls, every day when I pray, I tell God, please bless them for me, because they've gone through enough. They've gone through enough. Yes.
Pauline, unfortunately, my time is up, but let me tell you something. Your dreams are valid, you are an overcomer, and your dreams will come to pass. I'm telling you, God is with you, and God will send people who will support you to ensure that your vision becomes a reality, because what you're doing is very close to the heart of God. Continue inspiring those young ladies and encouraging them, because those children will grow up to be the champions of tomorrow. God bless you. Thank you for finding the courage and the time to talk to us today.
Thank you so much. God bless you too.
Awesome. I'm out of time, my friend. I know we would have loved to talk a little bit more to Pauline. Edward here is saying he's in tears in his car this morning as a powerful testimony. Well, God is good, and he has a good plan for Pauline and the work that she's doing. We'll hook up again tomorrow, God willing. Have yourselves a great day.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.